2012 was the end of time. So time ceased in 2012. We now live in the age of infinity. So that's as of um, 2022. So what's available to us is like infinity is now available on Earth as an experience, and we now live in a very different time than we did 12 years ago.
Hey, Lauren. Hey, David. Hey, Alenka.
Hi. Hi.
Thank you all for agreeing to do this. This is a, I don't know, like a super duper more woo-woo than I can cope with sort of video. I've got Lauren, who's an astrologer, a fabulous astrologer from Florida, and David and Alenka. Oh, David's job is to twist my head and distort any sort of understanding that I might have about how things work. David, Alenka, do you guys want to just give a brief introduction? Then Lauren, I'll ask you.
Of course, yeah, pleasure. Thank you for inviting us again. Yeah, we are David and Alenka. We are the energy doctors, and we live in the Mediterranean Sea on the little island called Gozo. And our job is to create or recreate heaven on earth. And we do that through different means. We offer online courses. We offer the work on the land. So when you're here, you can come and meet us, and we'll go to the place where you need to be for your energy activation. Let's call it that now. And what else? We offer retreats as well. And I think I didn't forget any. Did I forget anything?
Probably.
Maybe I forgot something. But anyway, this is us. And yeah, we love our life, and it's great to be here to have a chat with you guys. So we'll see where that goes.
Great, great. And I'll have your links in the description below, Energy Doctors.
Thanks.
And Lauren?
I am an astrologer. I do astrology for personal, and I do astrology for the crypto market. I analyze the crypto market through astrology. And I also analyze different geopolitical changes that are going on, which is called mundane astrology, through geopolitical events with astrology, to understand the energies of how they're influencing our world and the changes that are going on.
Yep.
I also,
you and I,
yep.
Sorry. I'll have your links in the
Yep.
description below, Lauren. And you know, we've done videos on looking at the astrology of Keir Starmer, the Bank of England, the ECB, and I haven't posted it yet, but it's going to be on my channel and your channel about the astrology of the Federal Reserve.
That's
We're
interesting.
recording this we're recording this on Monday, the 18th of August at 4:15 UK time. And David, just before we started recording, you said something, and then I'm going to ask you to say it again, and then I'll ask Lauren if there was anything happening around about then astrologically, because I want to see if there's, one of the things I do as a child protection social worker is I look at an issue or what's happening in a family from all sorts of different angles. And I gather information from all sorts of different perspectives. And I'm open to all sorts of different perspectives, which is how come I got into Bitcoin, because I was willing to actually consider that this is a new form of money and then to find out more about it. And it's the same deal with astrology. And dear David and Lenka, it's the same deal with your woo-woo work. I'm willing to consider it and find out, okay, let me look through that perspective and see what opens up. Okay, so David.
Yeah, so the Mayan calendar
The
suggests that the end of the world was 2012. I think they said the end of time was 2012. And I believe that that was right. I think around the 21st, 22nd of December 2012, the world as we knew it came to an end.
On what basis? And when did it begin? And
Well, those are really good questions. But it might take it like, maybe we stay focused on 2025, right?
Okay, so time as we know it ended in December 2012.
Or the world as we knew it, yeah.
The world as we knew it. Okay. And then, Lauren, was there anything significant that happened astrologically in December 2012?
Boy. I'm not sure. I'm sure there
Any
was, but I'm honestly off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Yeah, I did not look back that far to jog my memory.
Where was it? Saturn has a 12-year cycle.
Right. So 12. So Saturn would have been in, give me a second.
Well, it's actually just 12 years from now, right? But
Yeah,
it could have been Pluto,
so
or it
that
could
would
have
have,
been.
so okay, so if that's the case, then it would have been in the sign of Aries where it is now. If that's true, then that goes along with where Saturn and Neptune are now, because Saturn and Neptune are both in the sign of Aries. And
Right.
that would be meaning the start of a new cycle. Aries is the beginning of the astrological birth chart. It's the first sign, so it's all about the self, the new beginning of the self, how you
Okay.
put your
Right.
life into actions for yourself.
There's an error in my question because it's about 12, 13 years from now to 2012. But who knows how long this span of time or this span of the world that the Mayans were talking about.
Well,
So,
I suspect that was the 12,000 year cycle. So
right.
when you talk about this, I think it's important to remember, like, to hold it loosely.
Hmm.
That exact dates are terribly hard to tell if I don't even know what to say about that. But like 12,000 years it's a rough period of time. It's not time down to the minute and the day and the hour. So when
Okay.
Mayan said it finished in 2012, I just think that was relatively accurate. And there was no momentous global catastrophe. Like, we're not being struck by asteroids this time at the end of this cycle, which looks like what happened at the end of the last cycle. I think the transition this time is a peaceful transition into a new world, which is what we want to talk about.
Right. Which would tie in with the Yuga cycles and I think Graham Hancock's work as well. Okay. So then what's coming up, David? This peaceful cycle, which doesn't seem very peaceful, because I would say the world ended in 2019, or no, in March 2020, the world as we know it, because that's when lockdown started and everything changed.
Well, lockdown was like a primer for people to realize how corrupt the world that they inhabited was. So the world ended in 2012, but no one was told. So, so you may have had some significant events, and if I meet people, I often find they had some significant event happen to them in December 2012, like leaving a relationship or moving house or quitting a job. I often meet people who had that pattern, right? It doesn't mean everyone had that pattern, but I do see that often when I talk to people. The other bit I wanted to mention was I think it was the 22nd of August, 2022, that the Age of Infinity started. So that's another date which is perhaps worth checking with the stars to see if there are any correlations there as well.
The 20th of August, 2022.
22nd of August, 2022.
22nd of August, 2022. Okay. Now, you said earlier that these dates and times, we can't work them out. They're loose in general, but now you've given a very specific date.
Yeah, well, what I mean is it doesn't necessarily mean that 12,000 years ago to that date and that
Right.
time, a cycle started, like maybe it's 3 weeks out. I don't know how the gods engineer all this stuff, but that's why we're talking to an astrologist because it's all in the stars.
That's right, Lauren. Lauren, you're here to save the day, and then while you can, if you can move them about a bit as well, so that we have all the benefic aspects at play.
Um, well, I just want to make a correction to what I just said before about in 2012 Saturn being in Aries. That was incorrect. I just looked it up. Uranus was in Aries, so that would coincide with
Hmm.
sudden innovation, revolution, like sudden changes in ourselves of who we are, the world that we know it. especially being at a 0 degrees, the world axis degree of Aries, like large global changes. So that would coincide with 2012. But going to August 22nd, right? August 22nd, 2022, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, that was when the infinity started. Is that
The Age of Infinity
Age of
started.
Infinity? Okay. So that's actually pretty interesting because Uranus seems to be a big factor in this, was at around the 18-degree mark in the sign of Taurus. And that does symbolize the endings of things, sudden endings of things and new beginnings, innovative changes of the mind, of earth. And it was in Taurus, so Taurus is an earth sign. So earth changes, but people on earth experiencing those changes as well would seem to coincide with that. And again, with Uranus, it's like an out of this world type of energy. So that infinity, just doing things so differently, like anything is possible that you can't even imagine occurring. And that innovation of the mind, sudden downloads, sudden epiphanies, that seems to coincide with this of the 18 degrees, that sudden endings of things, new beginnings, new rebirthings of life, and people's experiences of being able to co-create and create the realities that they want. Now, that can go a positive way and could also be challenging too if people are in a state of mind of fear, of just fear and anxiety, because we do create our realities to an extent. Of what we're thinking is what comes out, is what we create in our lives. So, but I feel that people are really waking up to understand that they are more powerful than they are in our worlds, and they do have the power to manifest their own realities. Yeah.
Does that chime, David, with the...
It makes a lot of sense in my world because I'm looking at it through a particular lens, right? So I'm waiting for people to realize that the old world is finished.
We're getting there.
People are still talking like it exists. They're getting really serious about, I know there's violence, I know there's destruction, and I know that's been promulgated through systems of hate and manipulation and control. I realize that's still happening. But what I'm waiting for is for people to realize that that's not necessary. And it's simply one step away is peace. Now, I know people have been talking about this forever, but the systems of the old planet electromagnetically are just shutting down. They don't exist anymore. What we have is habit patterns as individuals.
Yeah.
We're basically living out our trauma, destroying one another in the name of nothing other than our habits.
Wow, yeah. That makes
David,
sense.
that's amazing. You boggle my mind, and then I'm tempted. I have to speak because this goes out on a podcast, and silent gaps don't work out really well on a podcast. So like, I better say something, but otherwise I just sit there with my mouth agog, wondering what is going on here, right? And again, I'm not disputing anything, right?
Right.
It's like one of the things they used to say at Landmark, perhaps after you stopped, was, it's like you open the fridge. Imagine you open the fridge door and you see the Grand Canyon inside. If I did that, I'd be like, oh my God. So, okay. Now you said something about electromagnetically, it's crumbling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, could that have something to do with, my understanding is that our solar system has ascended above a particular point, M40, above the thick edge of the galaxy, and we're now being exposed to more energies from the center of the galaxy, which are impacting us differently.
It's like the matrix is being reprogrammed, yeah.
But it's because of those energies from the center of the galaxy.
Not only.
Oh, okay.
See, the way I look at it is most people are, there's a lot of witnesses to the catastrophe that's ongoing and a lot of witnesses to the change. What I'm waiting for is people to choose not to be bystanders, but to be active participants in creating the new world. Because it's a very different frequency, it's a different harmonic, and it's a very peaceful, quiet, slow harmonic, the new world.
Yeah.
David, do you know, you seem younger than when I spoke to you last.
And then
Like,
I've grown.
sorry?
I'm taller than I used to be.
I know
Wow.
our mutual friend told me this as well, that you've become taller since this revelation, and you're growing backwards or something, or getting younger.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And at the same time, and you have to get your head around this, I'm beginning to experience the whole of the universe. At the same time as I'm just having everyday conversations with people, my consciousness can be anywhere in space and time.
Can I ask a question?
Please, Lauren, because I do not want to say something.
Anyone say something.
Change the subject.
Are you guys familiar with Dolores Cannon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know she used to talk about the world splitting and being two worlds. I believe it was two worlds. Does that go along with what you're talking about as well? Like, people, making that, I guess, that choice of living in, chaos, destruction, or moving into that different type of reality of, not choosing to be with that and moving into a different energy. Is that something similar along those lines? In a way?
It sounds familiar, yeah, because we are living in different realities now. I
Okay.
mean, we can, right? We can live in what is basically only existent anymore because of the habits, right? Because of our conditioning of what we're used to, right? We can still live in the fear system and be very, very convinced that it totally exists. Or we can choose to move out of it and decide to live a different life and raise our frequency and yeah, be basically not really in touch with that anymore.
Okay.
But it obviously still coexists, right? Because there's
Yeah.
still a lot of the old going on, as we all know, and it's not pretty. But yeah, we can choose to go somewhere else and through that raise the vibration not only of ourselves, of course, but of the community, of the population of the world in the end, right? That's the aim, right? That we create together, and we can only do it together, the
Right.
new earth that we
Right.
want to live in.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I used to follow her. Well, she's obviously passed away now, but yeah. And I always wondered how that would look of, the two, quote unquote, the two worlds. But I definitely understand it better now, especially with what you're saying and how that is. And I do find myself pulling away from getting so caught up in all this, there's so much craziness and news and so much going on and, noise. And I find myself like not even wanting to hear it. And then I'm like, well, maybe I'm just trying to avoid and live in my own little space. But I find myself trying to just block some of it out, because not that it's not existing and happening, but just that I'm like, I just, I don't almost want to associate with certain things because it's just so heavy and yeah, depressing. And I don't want to be feeling like that, I guess.
Yeah, and every time we go into that, right, and we give it energy. When we focus on it, we give it energy. So we actually allow the existence longer.
Okay.
Right. So it's good. And if like not to focus on it, to focus on the good that we can do, right?
Right.
That's I mean, we've talked about this a long time, all of us, I reckon, right? To focus on the good that we can do, rather than focusing on the bad that's happening, because we can always do good and we can always be kind and compassionate, and right, and so that's where we can bring our energy in for the better then. Yeah.
But it doesn't mean we should turn off the AI or not interact with the world. So I don't want
Right.
to,
Yes, I totally I
yeah,
understand that, yes. Even though I feel
yeah,
like
there
I
were
sometimes
times,
don't want to, but I totally understand that. I agree.
yeah. Yeah, there were times when I turned off social media or even turned my phone off pretty much for months. And now I'm back on it, right? Alenka will tell you I'm watching TikTok all the time.
More than me.
But it's a fascination. I'm
Uh-huh.
really fascinated about what's happening in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and these tools are all really interesting because for me, I look at the trends with autism and ADHD, and I don't like giving them names. I call it hyper awareness. The children that have been born that are hyper aware now. Um, I look at AI, I look at even Wi-Fi, how Wi-Fi has changed brain structure, and all of these are they're all what are they? They're precedents. They're all in preparation for a massive acceleration in consciousness. That we won't need these tools, but they're preparing us for the divine mind, which has more power than those tools. When we get ourselves stable enough in our hearts and in our minds, we can access the divine mind, which is infinite. So
Right.
I find all these things really, they all fit together, like inside some greater plan that's at work here.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I never thought of it that way. That makes a lot of sense. I was listening to the telepathy tapes. I don't know if you've ever heard of those. It's when it's these autistic children who were able to communicate telepathically.
Yes.
And there's this whole research done into it, and that blew my mind actually. But I would love to be telepathic, and I look forward to that.
Well, there is, I come across stuff on X. When I next find this guy, he posts a lot of stuff about this woo-woo stuff. I forget his name. And it includes, I think, a guy called Robert Monroe, who worked for the CIA and invented the gateway method of meditation, which is a way of accessing consciousness, and how the CIA, they're the ones, I think it was the CIA that developed remote viewing. It's done by
Yes.
the American
Okay.
military. And that there's all these aspects of esoteric knowledge that normal or everyday folk like myself don't know about or don't accept. David, you want to say something?
Well, the CIA didn't create that.
Okay.
They stumbled across some ancient texts or somebody who'd read some ancient texts and knew what they were doing, right?
And then harnessed it.
Uh-huh.
Right. Thank you for that correction. I'm willing to
Well, I
accept
just didn't want to credit the CIA with anything. That, right?
that. There's not
They just
much to credit.
stole something, right?
Again.
They steal a lot of things.
But they're not that bright. Come on. They've got money and power. That's like what they got, right?
That's it. Fair enough, right? But the military agencies, and certainly in the US and possibly Russia and China as well, have done work on these sorts of aspects and haven't released that information. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed, and I said this to my cousins a few years ago, I said, look, the conversation about aliens is going to grow larger and larger and larger and larger. Whether it's a psyop or it's for real, I don't know, but more and more people are going to be talking about it. And that is happening because there've been at least one congressional hearing about it. There's this, was it 3i stroke Atlas
Yeah.
object that's coming towards us that is taking a trajectory that isn't typical of a stellar object, that some people are saying it might be an alien spacecraft. It's approaching us with the sun behind, so we're not going to be able to see it. So there's all this stuff emerging. But David, I'd be interested in your perspective on 3i Atlas. Plus, I suppose the greater awareness that humanity, certainly in the West, seems to be developing of consciousness.
So the greater awareness of, but anyway, I wanted to say something to that object. So, the communication regarding that object is very interesting, because you have that object and then you have the information about the trajectory and that it's going to hide behind the sun and whatever. So we we're not going to be able to see it. And then it says they're going to attack us.
That's also something that they say. Some
Uh,
people say they're going to attack us, they're not going to attack us.
how and why
I,
and who said that and why does it? And this is one of the it's one of the many last bits where the system tries to, or the old system, right, which we're so used to, tries to sort of hold on, all my people are running off. Like if I don't have people, I don't have power. Like I need all the, stay here, sheep, come back. I can tell you something that I can protect you from. So there is something coming and it's gonna attack us, and I'm gonna do everything to not protect you at all, of course. But that's no, that's what I can say to it. It's this last bit, like, oh, I can produce some fear here. I think that's absolutely unnecessary and totally, like, everybody coming to Earth should be really scared because humans always shoot like at everything moving, right? Like, so I get why they're hiding on the way here if they're on the way here. So yeah.
David?
Don't know what to tell you. There is consciousness on that object.
Right. Okay.
You could remote view that consciousness.
Okay. Well, okay. I mean, for
So there is
remote viewers, they
consciousness.
could do that.
There is consciousness on that object. I don't know. I haven't had a conversation, so I can't tell you.
Right. Lauren?
I feel that, like you said, David, is consciousness on there, and I feel that their consciousness is more expansive or possibly at a higher level than most humans here on Earth. So I feel like they don't know what is exactly going to happen, and I feel like they're because their consciousness is possibly more advanced than us humans here on Earth at the moment. That they could either foresee what's going. I feel like they're not going to act in the way that they're saying. Like I feel like they're not going to attack us because I feel like what is it? Other beings, because their consciousnesses are more advanced than us, they don't feel the need to attack. So if there was an attack, is it possibly like a not real attack? Is it maybe is it something that is like a what is it, AI CGI type of thing? But I feel like that they wouldn't attack because I feel like they don't have a reason to attack. Like that's not in part of their they just don't. They don't feel the need to. They're higher than that. There's no reason to attack. That's what I feel. So I feel that the government is again trying to create that fear, and everybody, oh my God, they're gonna hurt us, harm us. So you must be scared. But I feel like that they wouldn't do that because they're so beyond that. There's no reason to do that.
Yeah.
Can I take the conversation into DNA?
Sure. Take it anywhere.
Because we as a species would not be killing each other if our trauma was not encoded in our DNA.
Okay.
People are acting out the trauma of their previous generations, which they haven't processed. They haven't done landmark. They haven't sat down in a quiet room for 3 years and just sat with themselves. They haven't done the work to free themselves from their internal demons, some of which are 100 years ago, some of them are 3,000 years ago, some of them are 12,000 years old. You only have to look at the ancient myths and stories to know that 12,000 years ago, there was a massive cataclysm that wiped out the majority of life on planet Earth. 12,000 years later, we are reimagining what's about to happen as we create a new civilization because the Mayan calendar is finished, right? We're now in the point of creation. And what we're bringing is our past from 12,000 years ago when we were all terribly killed. And we're just reimagining that that's what's going to happen again. It's quite sad, really.
Yeah.
But I did want to bring it back to DNA because in our DNA, it's all encoded. And if I make contact with that consciousness on that alien object, their DNA is not traumatized the way our DNA is traumatized to force them to have to act in violence. They don't have that. You only have to look at the pottery that's been created and found in ancient Egypt that is perfect. You see, you can only make pottery that's that perfect when you don't experience the emotion hope. You see, certain cultures have existed on this planet at different times that have had such a different DNA that they haven't experienced life through the emotional mindset of the common human of today. And so they would never consider violence against another species even. We are really in the dark ages. We are very, very dark. And until we stop and work it out for ourselves, we're just going to keep hurting one another.
That's so interesting.
And we simply project that onto a rock coming through space, like.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you, David. Now, what about stuff that's coming up, in the next few months or years, the changes that are happening? You said something about your mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do mission work. We have done 2 missions already. That means we are implementing templates into the new chakra system of the planet to support the change that is here. And so we finished the 2nd mission. When was that? Well, it must have been in May. Beginning of May.
Yeah.
And we thought we would continue with the 3rd one this year. We know there is a 3rd one, but we were guided. So we had no information of when to start the 3rd mission. And recently the information came through that we cannot do it this year because we're not ready. And this includes us and the group that we're working with. It's basically about, we can just say humanity, right? We're not ready to hold the energies that we need to bring down for the 3rd template. Because it's becoming like we're going into God energies, godly energies where, as David said before, with tuning into the whole universe, right? This is mind-blowing stuff, basically. So it's for us all to get ready together to be able to hold those energies for the change, for the implementation of the 3rd template. And of course, I mean, there's a lot of talk about unity, right? We're going towards unity. And this is always like really great. And everybody's like, yay, that's going to be the time of peace, like, and everybody's going to be in harmony and no more fighting. But I'm doing it a bit like that because that's about it, right? People talk about it and they're all like, yay. And then they go about their lives and there's not necessarily a lot of change, right? People are still very convinced that the old system, the states and everything is like a great invention and is still totally existing and has a right to tell us whatever. So there isn't a lot of people who have the courage to step out of the system and actually say, okay, how do we get to unity? Because the system we live in, or we've lived in for so long now, right? We can just call it the 12,000 years, right? Is not made for unity. It's made for separation. And I mean, by now, I think we all pretty much know that the state is not there to help us and all these things. So how do we get from where we are or where we've been to unity, which we really like and think is totally great, because then we're all going to be at peace together. And these are basically questions that we can ask ourselves, right? And that would then include the preparation for these energies, right? Because it's not about everybody's gonna walk my way, right? Or something, right? That's not unity. That would be dictatorship again. So I mean, that's not what's gonna happen. It's different. It's all of us. Yeah, I can't even describe it in words. It's very different than what we think.
It is a state. It's actually a different state. So when we talked about the Egyptian jars and cylinders and masks and that they made that were just perfect, they were in a different reality, those people.
Yeah.
They didn't experience the world the way that we experience it. And unity is going to be much like that.
Hmm.
Like, that's why we can only talk about it right now, because it's such a fundamentally different state to be connected to all other Earth souls simultaneously. Can you imagine that, right? And the power that your body has to contain to hold those energies is not insignificant. When it happens that we enter unity, that the emotion of hate disappears. Now, the preparation that's required to allow hate to disappear from your body is a lot, right? Because you have to build up to that. So that's what we're talking about, because we want people to understand that you've really got to process any hate, anger, discomfort, misery, resentment. Like, it's the hard work of doing all those emotions and working out, where did they come from, and is it even this lifetime, and who did I kill in my previous lifetimes? Like, that, there's the lens one has to go to find the peace and harmony that's going to produce unity.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a different order of human that's going to emerge, one that has access to all timelines that the soul has existed on this planet. So while you have memory, right, 98% of our DNA is junk, right? That's what they say. No, no, no. Contained in your DNA is your history of your entire soul's journey on Earth. Like, and that's all accessible inside the human body while you're still alive. Just that no one's taught you how to do it. So that's what we are showing people how to do.
Oh, wow.
Because then you can get to the peace where you can find the harmony to create unity.
And just on the DNA and connecting with outer energies of space, one of the things I've heard from people within this esoteric discourse is that these new energies from outer space are going to trigger and activate dormant DNA, which will include the ability to be psychic, and that we'll be able to read each other's minds. And then when I think about that, it seems like, well, that would actually lead to us living lives of integrity, because you won't lie to me and I won't lie to you, because we'll be able to tell. No, 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 no. That's not why you were late. So we'd have to live integrous, honest lives. And if we live integrous, honest lives, then life becomes clean and simple. And then we have then the possibility of unity and oneness emerges. Is that happening, David? Please tell me it's happening.
It sounds like it's happening in your house.
Well, certainly, like, say, between me and my wife, because of the work we've done at Landmark and stuff, it's got sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, because we do have a relationship that's born out of integrity, that's got integrity in it.
Yeah.
So, and it just gets easier and easier and easier and easier. So,
That's what we do, but without Landmark.
yeah. No, I just wonder on a larger scale if that's going to happen anyway, because of these energies from outer space.
Well, I mean, you know that things are happening already, because first of all, more people are aware, and more people speak of things. So that's all a step into the right direction, right? Even the talk about unity that I made a bit of fun of is good for us to make tiny steps in that direction. So because it obviously raises the awareness, and more people are aware of how connected we all are, right? That like coincidences is another thing, don't really exist, like that it's all things happen for a reason and all these bits, right? So there's definitely something happening, but you wanted to say something as
Yeah, I
well.
wanted to talk about, we're looking for about 13,000 people who are fed up, who've had enough and don't want to wait any longer. And they're going to do whatever it takes to be the change. They're not going to wait. They're not going to observe the crumbling system. They're going to recreate something from in here. Those are the ones that you want to look out for, because they will be relentless in pursuit of the truth and they will not stop. And it's those people that will carry the weight of humanity over the line.
So you're looking for 13,000 people.
Yeah.
And where from, why, how, and what will they do?
That's
From this planet.
from this planet, not on the spaceship.
So souls that have incarnated as human here right now, and that don't want to do it anymore. The same old way, the same old things, and yeah, that will do anything to change that.
Okay. And these 13,000 people, some of which could be my viewers and some of which could be Lauren's viewers, and perhaps yours, because this is going out on all 3 channels, they should contact you via Energy Doctors.
Yeah,
And then what happens? And
we'll
what
have a chat.
We'll have a chat. You talk to
Unless they
13,000.
all call at once, and then we'll set up a big group.
Put them all on a big Zoom call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say more about what's required and what you're looking for.
What's required? Well,
Give us your pitch.
the willingness to change is required, and the willingness to change includes the willingness to work on yourself, because that's where change comes from. It's from inside you. So yeah, and we don't take no SHIT from anyone. So we are willing to tell you when we don't think that what you're telling us is true right now, because we can't necessarily read your mind, but we've got other sensors active that tell us whether like what and then we go back, and then so we offer single sessions that help a lot in the progress of one person, obviously, and then we have the online courses, which are a bit broader, obviously, because it's a group of people, but yeah, it's the willingness that is essential, the willingness to change, and that brings everything else with it. When you have the true will to change, you're gonna face your fears that kept you in the system, and you're gonna take the steps. It's step by step always, and yeah.
Great. Lauren?
I actually do have one question about that. Do they have to come to where you guys are to do this? I know you said you guys have online courses, but is it like a requirement that we have to come out to where your location? I mean,
Not necessarily, no. We work with people that we haven't met in person yet
Okay.
at all. So
Okay.
that's totally fine. And it's interesting that more and more people feel called to come here and visit us.
Yeah.
But that's up to the person, and obviously also the circumstances, right?
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
of course, people with family can't necessarily just come and stay here.
Right. Okay.
That's all. So yeah, we do it. We work a lot online. Yeah.
Okay. And Lauren, I know as an astrologer, you look at what's happening with the stars and the sun,
hmm
and that Pluto, as the slowest moving planet, has a massive effect on what happens on Earth. But I just wonder if there are other bodies much further away that move even slower that you ever look at or consider, and that their movements may chime in with what David and Alenka are talking about.
Honestly, no, I don't look at anything after Pluto. Where Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, and Pluto are. I'm sorry, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are. They're all forming this configuration in the sky. And this hasn't happened for a long, 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 long time. I can't give the amount. I want to say it's like 1,000 or 2 years. But this configuration is really changing, has the ability to change people's consciousness. It's a very spiritual type of energy that can, if people want to embrace it and do the work and move with it and take advantage of it, to really move their consciousness to a higher level, to the next step, to really embrace these not so much the physical, mundane, day-to-day negativeness, but really open up their minds in a more of a spiritual way, and just move them to move them to a different way of living. It's a really beautiful energy. It's very spiritual. And, I also look at it as, like you said, like there's or I think you said, changes, the energy is coming in from space, and that would be a part of it. And, where the planets are, and they do influence the earth, and the earth changes, earthquakes, fires, all this other stuff. And I kind of see it as like something outside happening from space, the energies, whether it's a solar flare, whatever it is, it actually also helps to bring the people together. Like an outside event outside of Earth coming in and helping to bring the people together, evolving their consciousness to realize that it's not just what we're being told here right now. Like this is just, we're being told and fed things, and it's not the truth. And it's like we need something that's bigger than us to make us really have that aha moment of there's more to life than just paying bills and doing whatever that we're doing right now. Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Can I ask? You said Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune?
And Pluto.
Yeah, hold on, let me just look at Neptune and Saturn are in a sextile to Uranus. Saturn and Neptune are in a sextile to Pluto. And then Pluto and Uranus are in a trine. So it forms a triangle in the sky. And all those energies, Uranus is in Gemini, it's that's of the mind, sudden downloads, sudden inspiration, just sudden changes of the mind. Pluto is in Aquarius, wanting to change the world for humanity, getting rid of those old systems, having them crumble down. Neptune and Uranus there is making people question the values of themselves. Am I living the life that's fulfilling me? Am I doing something in this world, in this life that is fulfilling me? And what are my true values? And with Saturn there too, that is also like the government's trying to come in and hold on, because people are waking up more and more and expanding their consciousness with all these energies. So it's actually pretty beautiful. It's pretty deep, pretty big, and I just feel that people, if they want to take it in and take advantage of it, they definitely have the ability to do it. But I also feel like there's something big that will occur at some point that will really just suddenly make people be like, give that an aha moment of, wow, there's more to life than this. And this is not what I've been doing in this world is not what life is truly about. They're like, see like the bigger picture, more, I guess more of a spiritual moment at some point. And I don't know when that's happening, but just with all these all these energies and planets are, they're just really forming this, maybe a force field, we'll say, like around the earth, just hitting the earth with all these energies of really, really pushing people to really change. If you don't want to change, you don't have to, but really pushing people to really towards more of just a spiritual, and I'm not talking about the Catholic Church. I'm not talking about the religions that are the, religions, talking more of like a really connecting with higher power, with God, with, just really connecting in just to the unconscious, the collective consciousness. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to share something with you, something I found on the internet, and it ties in with what we've been talking about.
Thank you for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome.
It makes a lot of sense.
I have noticed with these energies and stuff, the way I'm looking at astrology is also changing. And I have noticed I am more sensitive to just different things energetically. So I do, within my own self, I am noticing certain shifts. So talking with you guys makes a lot of sense. Connecting a lot of the dots about things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Lauren.
Nice.
Lauren, David Lenke, can you see this chart? This is neutrons from outer space being detected at some observed monitoring station in Canada.
Ah.
This is the normal levels. Here we had a spike, here we had a spike. Then on the 6th of August, there was this massive spike in neutrons, which are subatomic particles. So there's energies coming from outer space. It's just, I suppose, physical. Well, it's a reading of that. It registers that in these physical devices, which chimes in with what we've been talking about and with what many have been talking about. And then when you said what you said, Lauren, got me thinking. I'm clear how energies from outer space cause earthquakes and volcanoes and have adverse reactions. Well, why wouldn't they also have beneficial effects here as well? The antithesis of an earthquake, and that how in a full moon, apparently there's more crimes get committed. Well, why wouldn't these astral bodies have beneficial effects on us as well? And
They,
that's something for us to consider.
oh, I was going to say they do.
Yeah, they
Oh,
absolutely
okay.
do.
They
Yeah.
definitely do. I think some of the things that we look at as negative or bad, especially with earth changes, it's, I do feel that earth is a living body. It is alive. I don't, it's, and when these things are happening, it's because it is going through their own changes. And, even though there is destruction with some of these things, it's like it's doing its own upgrades with, whether, a lot of volcanoes going off and, and I would never want to see anybody hurt, but I feel like Earth is going through its own upgrades, its own changes, getting ready. If we're going through changes and upgrades in our own unconsciousness, that the Earth is either we're reacting to the Earth or the Earth is reacting to us. We're, symbiotic in how we're living. So, it's making these changes so we can, keep moving up to the next levels of our own conscious, unconscious, and just evolving as people. Maybe in our DNA too.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. David, Alenka, Lauren, anything you guys want to say before we finish up?
No.
I have a little snippet.
Sorry, David?
Snippet.
Dystopian realities. Do you know many authors who've written about dystopian realities? You know what they are, right?
Yeah.
I've written a bit about this. It's part of this video will be shown after we've actually recorded something else about this. And I was trying to get a picture to represent dystopian reality, and I was going to put into Chat GPT, please give me a picture of how the world is today. But I figured that's that. So I asked it for a dystopian reality picture and I got one, right? I just assume we live in dystopia, right? And you either know we live in dystopia and you're doing something about it or saying something about it publicly, hopefully, or at least in your own head, or you haven't realized it yet and you're supporting the dystopian leaders to keep the reality in place. I think that's the split we face at the moment. If you think about it from a time-wise, what's the one thing that we do in time that keeps the dystopian reality in place? And we do it every week. We do it all the time. And it's the one thing in time that we could change tomorrow. And if we changed it tomorrow, dystopia would disappear.
You've already done that, Rich.
You've done it already.
Don't know about your situation, Lauren, but I guess it's similar too. So you've basically passed that already.
But this is perhaps for people who are listening to the show rather than for yourself. So I'll tell you, right, because otherwise it's going to drag on for far too long. So if you have a 5-day working week, you will die in a dystopian reality. You will never escape dystopia so long as you continue to work a 5-day week. That will kill you. You will not have enough time to process your memories and your experiences of your current and past reality to escape emotionally from the cage that you're trapped in if you stay in a 5-day out of 7. If you go to 4-day working week, you can be free. So it only takes 1 day change. You basically don't work more than 4 days a week. Now it's up to you. You can work I figure working 7 days a week is better than working 5 days because at least you're committed like, and you're up to something, and you're the master of your own destiny, and you've made your own choices. And that, I don't think that has to lead to dystopia. But the one thing to remember is while we continue to work a 5-day week, we are condemned to live in dystopia. And that only started in the UK at the advent of the Industrial Revolution around 1770. You just do a quick look on Google or wherever you want to, whatever AI bot you use. Before that, people could get away with working 2 or 3 days a week and survive and be quite well.
Mm.
And then peasants ruled the land during that time also. So the connections are all there, but all we have to do is unwind ourselves from getting out of bed every morning and going to work 5 days a week. And if we all do that, dystopia will just disappear because we'll spend time thinking about ourselves, what we need, what's going on in my life, what's happening with my family, what's happening with my emotional body. I could go on and on and on. It's just one simple change is all we need to do.
Makes sense.
Right. And the key takeaway from that is having the time to deal with whatever trauma we have from the past, to, I don't know, whatever people want to do to get in touch and develop their spiritual awareness. And there's all sorts of modalities and ways of doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Lauren, anything for you?
No, this was a great mind-blowing conversation.
Isn't
I'll
it?
be reflecting on this because this was great. This was absolutely amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and David, you just reminded me when you said about trauma, I recorded a video with a guy called Ian Burlingham. And what we talked about is how the elites use trauma in order to keep recycling trauma. Like, for example, using it to create psychopaths and sociopaths through Epstein-like operations, because you get people, or boarding schools, you get people who are incredibly traumatized and then go and visit that trauma upon other people. And then I see it in my work as a social worker. So then what you talk about healing our own trauma, I heal my trauma in this life. Going to another life is not, previous life is not something that I've done, but then I can see the value of that because then I don't reproduce that trauma and visit it upon other people.
Mm.
So get healthy, get well, honor and love. David, Alenka, Lauren, thank you so much.
Thank
Completely
you.
cosmic,
Thank you.
off the planet conversation.
This is
Link in
great.
the
Thank you.
description below. Please share this far and wide. And in between these sorts of videos, I have my really hard as nail conversations with Tom Luongo and others about what's going on in the world, and occasionally a little bit about crypto. Thank you so much, everybody. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. That was
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody